Okay, it's okay. It's okay. The Tahoe is more beautiful than the river that runs through my village. But the Tahoe is not more beautiful than the river that runs through my village. Because the Tahoe is not the river that runs through my village. Big ships sail the Tahoe, and on it sails at least, in the eyes of those who see in all things who it isn't there, the memory of the caravels. The Tahoe comes down from Spain, and the Tahoe enters the sea in Portugal. Everyone knows that, but very few know the name of the river in my village and where it goes. And because of that, because it belongs to fewer people, it is freer and bigger, the river in my village. The Tahoe leads out into the world. Beyond lie the Americas. And the fortunes of those who find them, no one has ever thought about what lies beyond. The river in my village doesn't provoke any thoughts. Anyone who stands next to it is simply there. "21. If I can bite into the whole earth and feel it on my palate, and if the earth were something you could bite into, I would be happier for a moment. But I don't always want to be happy. Sometimes it's necessary to be unhappy in order to be natural. Life isn't all sunny days, and when it's really needed, we pray for rain. That's why I accept unhappiness and happiness. Naturally, just as I am unsurprised to find that there are mountains and plains, and rocks and grass. We need to be natural and calm, in happiness and unhappiness, to feel like someone looking, to think like someone walking, to think like someone walking. And when the time comes to die, we should remember that the day dies too, and that the sunset is beautiful, and the night that follows is beautiful too, and that this is so because it is so." Hey, username. It's been a long day for me too, so I appreciate you joining. I hope it gets better. 22. Like someone on a summer's day opening the door of the house and peering out, face first, at the heat of the fields. Sometimes, suddenly nature beats down on the sum of my senses, and I feel confused, troubled, trying to understand. I don't know quite how or what, but whoever said I should want to understand, who told me I needed to understand. When the summer runs this soft, warm hand of its breeze over my face, I have only to feel pleasure because it's a breeze, or displeasure because it's too hot. And that however I feel it, the way I feel it, because that is how I feel it. It's how I feel it. Hey, Ta. How's it going? I just got off a 13-hour day, so. 23. My gaze blue as the sky, as calm as the water and the sun. That's how it is, blue and calm. because it neither asks questions nor is it surprised. If I were to question and be surprised, no new flowers would bloom in the fields, nor would the sun change in any way that would make it more beautiful. Even if new flowers did bloom in the field and the sun did become more beautiful, I would feel there were fewer flowers in the field and find the sun ugly, because everything is as it is, and that's how it is. And I accept this, but feel no gratitude, so as not to be aware that I'm thinking that. Hello, James. How's it going? I'm very tired, but I figured I'd go live for just a small while and read something. And we are reading The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa. Thank you, Ta. 24. What we see of things are the things themselves. Why would we see one thing if there were another? Why would seeing and hearing be an illusion? If seeing and hearing are just seeing and hearing, the essential thing is knowing how to see. Knowing how to see without thinking. Knowing how to see when you see. And not thinking when you see, not seeing when you think. But this, alas, for those of us whose soul wears clothes, this requires long study, an apprenticeship is unlearning, and a solitude within the freedom of that convent, of which the poets say the stars are its eternal nuns, and the flowers devout penitents for a single day. But where, after all, the stars are just stars, and the flowers are just flowers, which is why we see them as stars and flowers. Thank you, Alexis. Hey, Solo. I do have the AC on, so you might be hearing some background noise. We are reading The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro, Fernando Pessoa. Beautiful poetry. 25. The soap bubbles that this child amuses herself in blowing through a straw are a whole translucent philosophy, clear, futile, and transient as nature, a friendly side as are all things, with no mystery, no qualities, no direction. They are what they are, with a lovely round, airy precision, and no one, not even the child blowing them, expects them to be more than they seem to be. Some are barely visible in the lucid air. They're like the passing breeze that barely touches the flowers, and that we only know has passed, because something in us grows lighter and accepts everything more clearly. Sometimes, on days when the light is perfect and exact, when all things are as real as they can possibly be, I ask myself slowly why I even attribute beauty to things. Is a flower beautiful? Is a fruit perhaps beautiful? No. They merely have color and form and existence. Beauty is the name given to something that doesn't exist, the name I give to things in exchange for the pleasure they give me. It means nothing. So what do I say of things that are beautiful? Yes, even I, who live only to live, even I am not immune to the invisible lies men say of things that simply exist. How hard is it to have eyes and to see only the visible? "27. Only nature is divine, and she isn't divine. If I sometimes speak of her as a living being, it's because to speak of her I have to use human language, which gives personality to things and imposes names on things. But things have neither name nor personality. They exist, and the sky is vast and the earth broad, and our heart the size of a clenched fist. Blessed am I for everything I don't know, because that everything is what I truly am. I bask in all this like someone sitting here in the sun." Very beautiful. Hey Chan, nice of you to join us today. Thank you, I don't take offense. Thank you, campeón. We are reading The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa, which, lovely, beautiful to say the least. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Luis. Narcy, hello. Kara, we all love poetry here, and that's all we read. 28. Today, I read nearly 2 pages of a book by a mystic poet, and I laughed like someone who has cried a lot. Mystic poets are sick philosophers, and philosophers are madmen. Because mystic poets say that flowers feel and say that stones have souls, and that rivers go into ecstasies in the moonlight. But flowers, if they felt, would not be flowers. They would be people. And if stones had souls, they would be living things, not stones. And if rivers did go into ecstasies in the moonlight, the rivers would be sick men. Anyone wishing to talk about the feelings of flowers and stones and rivers clearly has no idea what they are. To speak of the souls of stones, flowers, rivers, is to talk about oneself and one's own false thoughts. Thank God, stones are just stones, and rivers are only rivers, and flowers merely flowers. As for myself, I write the prose of my poetry and am contented, because I know I understand nature from without, and I don't understand it from within, because nature has no within. If it did, it wouldn't be nature. Gnarly. Nice poem. Hey, Karina. Hi, Tatiana. And Mish, thank you. Yeah, 28 was very beautiful. "29. I am not always the same in what I say and write. I change, but not very much. The color of flowers is not the same in the sun as beneath a lingering cloud, or when night falls and flowers are the color of remembrance. But anyone who really looks can see they are the same flowers. And so when I appear not to agree with myself, take a good look at me. If I was facing toward the right, now I've turned to the left. But I am always me, standing on the same 2 feet. Always the same, thanks to me and to the earth, and to my convinced eyes and ears, and to my clear contiguity of soul. I like that one a lot. It's very neat. Karina, I haven't recorded any, but I do have YouTube videos where I just read for longer, 20 to 45 minutes. And the channel is The Poet's Lighthouse, the same. We are reading the complete works of Alberto, Caeiro, Fernando, Pessoa. Fernando is the poet. "30. If they want me to have a mysticism, alright, I have one. I am a mystic, but only with my body. My soul is simple and doesn't think. My mysticism is not wanting to know. It's living and not thinking about it. I don't know what nature is. I sing it. I live halfway up a hill in a solitary, whitewashed house. And that is my definition." 31. If I at times say that flowers smile, or if I were to say that rivers sing, this isn't because I believe there are smiles on the flowers and songs in the rushing of rivers. It's because this is my way of making false mankind feel the truly true existence of flowers and rivers. In silence I write so that mankind will read me. I sometimes sacrifice myself to the stupidity of their senses. I don't agree with myself, but I absolve myself, because I don't take myself seriously, because I am only that hateful thing, an interpreter of nature, because some people don't understand her language, for she isn't a language at all. "32. Yesterday evening, a man from the city was talking at the door of the inn. He was talking to me, too. He was talking about justice and the fight for justice, and about the suffering workers, and about their unending labors, and about those who are hungry, and about the rich who don't care about any of this. And looking at me, he saw tears in my eyes, and he smiled, pleased to think I was feeling the hatred he was feeling, and the compassion he said he was feeling. But I was barely listening. What do I care about men, and what they suffer or feel they suffer? Let them be like me and they won't suffer. All the evils of the world come from us taking an interest in one another. Whether to do good or to do ill, looking at the sky and the earth are enough for us. To want more is to lose everything, and to be unhappy. What I was thinking about when that friend of the people was speaking, and it was this that moved me to tears, was how the distant murmuring of sheep bells that evening sounded nothing like the bells of a tiny chapel, to which the flowers and the streams and simple souls like mine might go to mass. I thank God that I am not good. and have that natural egotism of the flowers, and the rivers that go their own way, unwittingly preoccupied only with flowering and flowing. This is the sole mission of the world, this, to exist clearly and to know how to do so without thinking about it. And the man fell silent, looking at the sunset. But what does someone who hates and loves have to do with the sunset? Very beautiful. The book name is The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa. "33. Poor flowers planted in regular garden beds. They look as if they were afraid of the police, but they're so sure of themselves that they bloom in just the same way and have the same ancient color as when they were free and were seen by the first gaze of the first man, who saw them appear and touched them gently, so as to see them with his fingers too." It's very sweet. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, Garnet. 34. I find it so natural not to think that I sometimes laugh to myself. I don't know about what exactly, but about something that has to do with there being people who do think. What does my garden wall think about my shadow? I sometimes wonder about this, then realize that I am wondering about it. And then I feel annoyed and uncomfortable with myself, as if I'd suddenly noticed my foot had gone to sleep. What does this think about that? Nothing thinks about anything. Is the earth conscious of its stones and plants? If it were, it would be a person. And if it were a person, it would take the shape of a person. But what do I care about that? If I were to think those things, I would cease to see the trees and the plants, and cease to see the earth, to see only my thoughts. I would grow sad and be left in the dark, as it is, without thinking. I have earth and sky. "35. The moonlight shining through the high branches, all the poets say is more than the moonlight shining through the high branches. But to me, not knowing what I think, what the moonlight shining through the high branches is, apart from being the moonlight shining through the high branches, is just that, the moonlight shining through the high branches." 36. And there are poets who are artists and work on the verses as a carpenter does on a piece of wood. How sad not to know how to flower, to have to place line upon line like someone building a wall, then checking to see if it's good, and taking it down if it isn't. When the only artist's studio is the entire earth, which varies and is always good and always the same. I think about this, not like someone who thinks, but like someone who doesn't. And I look at the flowers and smile. I don't know if they understand me, or if I understand them, but I know that the truth is in them and in me. and in our common divinity, in leaving ourselves free to live on the earth, and be rocked contentedly in the arms of the seasons, and let the wind sing us to sleep, easing us gently into dreamless slumber. Yana, I will not. Don't worry. 37. Like a great smudge of grubby fire, the set sun lingers on the remaining clouds. A vague whistle wafts in on the calm evening air. It must be from some distant rain. I'm filled then with a vague longing and a vague, placid desire that appears and disappears. Sometimes, too, on the edge of streams, bubbles form in the water that are born and vanish and have no meaning at all apart from being bubbles in the water that are born and vanish. The pages on the left is in Portuguese, so it's bilingual book. Thank you, Jasmine. Hey, man. And in that goodly moment, hopefully that fixes it. I turned off my laptop and whatnot. Okay. $39. The mystery of things. Where is it? If it exists, why doesn't it at least appear? To show us that it is a mystery. What does the river or the tree know of mystery? And I, who am not more real than they are, what do I know of it? Whenever I look at things and think what men think about them, I laugh like a stream as it rushes over a stone, because the only hidden meaning of things is that they have no hidden meaning at all. It is a stranger than all strangenesses, than the dreams of all the poets and the thoughts of all the philosophers, that things really are what they seem to be. And there is nothing to understand. Yes, this is what my senses learned, on their own. Things have no signification. They have existence. Things are the only hidden meaning of things. Sorry, my asthma is acting up. I actually have, I think, 2 books of Edgar Allan Poe. But yeah, I do like his poems. And they're illustrated. The book is called The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa, who is the poet. Yeah, I could read it right now. A butterfly flutters past me, and for the first time in the universe I noticed that butterflies have neither color nor movement, just as flowers have neither perfume nor color. It's the color on the butterfly's wings that have color. It's the movement of the butterfly, it's the movement that moves. It's the perfume that has perfume in the perfume of the flower. The butterfly is merely butterfly, and the flower is merely flower. Hi, someone. Hi, baby. Yeah, I need to. I didn't realize I was gonna stay live this long. Give me 1 second. So this is a book by Edgar Allan Poe. And I hope little Annabelle Lee, page 67. Annabelle Lee. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee. With a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsmen came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee, and the stars never rise but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so, on the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in the sepulchre there by the sea, in their tomb by the surrounding sea. And this is the Edgar Allan Poe book I was reading from. "41. Sometimes, as evening falls on summer days, even though there's no breeze at all, it seems that for a moment A light breeze passes, but the trees remain motionless. In every way their leaves can, and our senses were under an illusion, the illusion of what they would find pleasing. Our senses, those ailing beings that see and hear. Where we are, we should be. We would have no need of such an illusion. It would be enough to feel with clarity in life, and not even notice that there are senses. But thank heavens for imperfection in the world, because imperfection is a thing, and having people who err is different, and having sick people makes the world larger. If there were no imperfection, there would be one thing less, and there should be many things, so that we have much to see and hear, as long as our eyes and ears do not close. I really like that line. If there were no imperfections, there would be one thing less and there should be many things. It's very beautiful. Jasmine, yeah, it's a really beautiful poem. And thank you, Sylvia, for recommending it. Sorry, I sneezed. Hey, how's it doing? How's it going, Koi? Jenna, I do have some R.H. Sin books. Shel Severstein, I'm not too sure. When I go live, I typically do this. This is poetry, and then more poetry books. Yes, I have Emily Dickinson. I love her books. Novels, and then this is all of my art books, and more novels. And then you have way more. I think the shortest collection I have is the mangas. I only have a few. I need to watch the show Dickinson. Because one, it has Haley Steinfeld, right? Poe? Yes, I just read this from this Poe book I have right here. "42. A carriage passed along the road and was gone. And the road wasn't any more beautiful or any uglier. So it is with human actions in the world. We take nothing away and we add nothing. We pass and we forget. And the sun is always the same sun, every day." Excuse me. 43. Better the flight of a bird, which passes and leaves no trace, than the passing of an animal, which leaves behind a memory on the ground. The bird passes and forgets, and that's how it should be. The animal, which is no longer where it was and is therefore useless, shows it was once there, which is equally useless. Remembering is a betrayal of nature, because yesterday's nature is not nature. What was is nothing, and remembering is not seeing. Pass, bird, pass, and teach me how to pass. I really like that one. This is the cover of the book. I think I bought it at Barnes & Noble or I've seen it at Barnes & Noble. I bought it at another bookstore, and it's The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa. "44. I wake up in the night suddenly, and the clock fills the whole night. I don't feel nature out there. My room is a dark thing with walls vaguely white. Outside there is a stillness as if nothing existed. Only the clock ticks on. And this small thing of cogs and wheels sitting on my table snuffs out all existence from heaven and earth. I nearly lose myself thinking what this means. But I stop, and the corners of my mouth lift and I smile in the night. Because the only thing my clock symbolizes or signifies, as it fills with its smallness the vast night, is the curious sensation of filling the vast night with its smallness. And the sensation is curious because only for me is it filling the night with its smallness." How nice. Thank you, Bobo. It was a very long day, so I definitely needed this too. "45. A row of trees in the distance near the hillside. But what is a row of trees? A single tree multiplied. A row or the plural trees are not things but names. Poor human souls, which like to put everything in order, to draw lines between one thing and another, to put signs with names on totally real trees, and draw the parallels of latitude and longitude on the oblivious earth itself, far greener and lusher than all that." Serendipity. It's a fun word to say. It's like my first thought every time I look at it. 46. In this way or in that, depending how it falls or doesn't fall, sometimes being able to say what I think, and at others, saying it badly and inexactly. I keep writing my verses almost without thinking, as if writing was not something made of gestures, as if writing were a thing that happened to me, as if it were my own inner son. I try to say what I feel without thinking what I feel. I try to fit the words to the idea with no need for a corridor or thought into the words. I don't always succeed in feeling what I know I should feel. My thought swims very slowly across the river, weighed down by the heavy suit humankind made it wear. I try to divest myself of what I learned. I try to forget the way of remembering that I was taught, and to scrape off the paint with which they painted my senses, to unpack my true emotions, to unwrap myself and be me, not Alberto Caeiro, but the human animal that nature placed on the earth's surface. And so I write, trying to feel nature, not even like a man, but like someone who feels nature, nothing more. And so I write, sometimes well, sometimes badly, now saying precisely what I want to say, now failing. Falling down here, scrambling to my feet over there, but always continuing on my path, like a stubborn blind man. And yet I am someone. I am a discoverer of nature. I am an argonaut of genuine sensations. I bring to the universe a new universe, because I bring to the universe itself. This I feel, and this I write, knowing perfectly well, and without a doubt, that it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and that even though the sun hasn't yet shown its head above the wall of the horizon, I can already see the tips of its fingers gripping the top of the wall of that horizon full of low hills. This is a very, very beautiful poem. Wow. Shay, thank you. "47. On an excessively clear day, a day that made you wish you'd done a lot of work in order to do no work at all, I glimpsed, like a pathway between trees, what might be the great secret, the great mystery of which the false poets speak. I saw that there is no nature, that nature doesn't exist, that there are hills, valleys, plains, that there are trees, flowers, grasses, that there are rivers and stones, but that there isn't a whole to which this belongs, that a real and true unity is a disease of our ideas. Nature is parts without a whole. This is perhaps the mystery they speak of. This, without thinking or pausing, was what I realized must be truth. Everyone is looking for and not finding, and which only I, because I didn't look for it, have found. Murmur, yeah, it's somebody's Bible. Yeah, exactly, Kimber. And yeah, Venti, this is pure poetry. Very beautiful. 48. From the highest window in my house, I am waving a white handkerchief, bidding farewell to my verses as they set off to meet humanity. And I am neither happy nor sad. That is the fate of all verses. I wrote them and must show them to everyone, because I cannot do otherwise. Just as a flower cannot conceal its color, or a river conceal its current, or a tree conceal the fruit that it bears. They're already far away, as if carried off by stagecoach, and quite unwillingful, I feel a grief, like a bodily pain. Who knows who will read them? Who knows into whose hands they will fall? Flower, my fate plucked me for eyes to see. Tree, my fruits were picked for mouths to eat. River, the fate of my waters was not to stay within me. I submit, and I feel almost happy like someone grown weary of being sad. Go from me. The tree passes and is scattered by nature. The flower withers, and its dust lasts forever. The river flows and enters the sea, and its waters are forever its waters. I pass and I remain. like the universe. Thank you, Nai, and Cass, thank you for joining in. We are reading The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa. Yeah, it was sparkly. 49. I go inside and close the window. They bring the lamp and bid me good night, and my contented voice bids them good night too. If only my life could always be this, the day full of sun or bright with rain, or else stormy as if it were the end of the world. The gentle evening, passing groups of people, observed with interest from my window. A last friendly glance at the tranquil trees, and then, with the window closed, the lamp lit, without reading anything or thinking anything, or sleeping, feeling life flow through me like a river along its riverbed. And there, outside, a great silence, like a sleeping god. The Shepherd in Love. Number 50. Before I knew you, I loved nature the way a serene monk loves Christ. Now I love nature the way a serene monk loves the Virgin Mary, devoutly, in my own fashion just as before, only more intimately, more movingly. I see the river more clearly when I go with you, through the fields to the riverbank, sitting by your side, observing the clouds. I observe them more keenly. You didn't take nature away from me. You didn't change nature for me. You brought nature closer to me, because you exist to see it better, but the same. Because you love me, I love it in the same way, only more. Because you chose me to have you and to love you. My eyes linger longer on nature, on all things. I don't regret the me I once was, because I still am him. I only regret not having loved you before. What a beautiful ending. 51. The moon is high in the sky in its spring. I think of you, and inside myself I'm complete. Across the vague fields, a light breeze comes running toward me. I think of you. I murmur your name. I am no longer me. I am happy. Tomorrow you'll come. You'll go with me to pick flowers in the fields, and I'll go with you through the fields to watch you pick flowers. I can already see you picking flowers with me in the fields tomorrow. But when you come tomorrow and really do go picking flowers with me, that for me will be a joyous and new. And we are reading The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro by Fernando Pessoa. Beautiful poetry. 52. Perhaps someone who sees well is no good at feeling, and is unattractive because he never learned manners. It's important to have manners when doing anything, and each thing has its own manner, including love. Someone whose way of seeing is to see the fields to the grasses likely lacks the kind of blindness that allows one to feel. I loved, but I wasn't loved, which I only realized at the end. Because being loved isn't like being born. It simply happens. She still has the same lovely hair and lips as before, and I continued to be as I was before, alone in the countryside, as if I'd been living with my head down. I think this, and hold my head up, and the sun scorches the desire to weep that I can't help but feel. How vast the countryside, and how small and intimate love is. I look and forget, like parched earth, where once there was water, like bare trees. And I can't speak because I'm listening to my voice as if it belonged to someone else. And my voice speaks of her as if she were speaking. Her hair is the golden yellow of wheat and bright sunlight. And when she speaks, her mouth says things that doesn't exist in words. She smiles, and her teeth are as polished as pebbles on a riverbed. Wow. Yeah, he does sound like love, right? This is Fernando Pessoa, The Complete Works of Alberto Caeiro. And Alberto Caeiro is just a character he wrote under. 53. Love is a companion. I no longer know how to walk alone along the paths, because I can no longer walk alone. A visible thought makes me walk more quickly and see less, and at the same time, I enjoy seeing everything. Even her absence is a presence. Sorry about that. 53. Love is a companion. I no longer know how to walk alone along the paths, because I can no longer walk alone. A visible thought makes me walk more quickly and see less, and at the same time I enjoy seeing everything. Even her absence is a presence, and I like her so much that I don't know how to desire her. If I don't see her, I imagine her and I'm as strong as the tallest trees. But if I see her, I tremble, and I don't know what has become of what I feel in her absence. The whole of me is a force abandoning me. The whole of reality stares at me like a sunflower with her face in the center. "54. I lay awake at night. I lay awake all night without knowing how to sleep, seeing only her image. And always seeing her differently from the way she actually is. I make thoughts out of my memory of how she is when she speaks to me, and in each thought she varies according to her likeness. To love is to think, and in thinking about her I almost forgot to feel. I don't quite know what I want, even from her, and I think only of her. My mind is one huge, all-absorbing distraction. When I want to meet her, I would almost prefer not to meet her, so as not to have to leave her afterwards. And I prefer to think about her, because I feel almost afraid of her as she is. I don't quite know what I want, and I don't want to know what I want. I want only to think her. I ask nothing of anyone, not even her, only to think. You hate the book's name. It is long, but I guess it's a character of his he wrote under. Yeah, Charlie. My heart's crying. It's very beautiful. 55. The shepherd in love lost his crook, and the sheep went astray on the hillside, and he thought so much that he didn't even play the flute he'd brought with him to play. No one came or went. He never again found his crook. Others, cursing him, gathered in his flock. In the end, no one had loved him. When he rose up from that hillside and from that false truth, he saw everything. The great valleys full, as ever, of the same various greens. The great mountains in the distance, more real than any feeling. The whole of reality, with the present sky and air and fields. And once again, albeit painfully, he felt the air opening up of freedom in his heart. The writer is Portuguese. This book is bilingual. The right side is English, the left side is Portuguese. Thank you, Reese. It's very kind. I'm just thankful my asthma's not acting up. 56. Now that I feel love, I'm interested in things that have a scent. I never used to be interested in the fact that a flower had scent. Now I experience the scent of flowers as if life were utterly new. I know perfectly well that they always had a scent, just as I know that I existed. These are things one knows out of habit. But now, I know this from the deep in-breath that comes from way back in my hand. Today the flowers taste good to me on a palate that can also smell. Sometimes, when I wake now, smell comes before sight. Every day I wake full of joy and sorrow. I used to wake feeling nothing at all. I simply woke. I feel joy and sorrow because I lose what I dream, but can still inhabit the reality where my dreams live. I don't know what to do with my sensations. I don't know what to be on my own. I want her to say something, anything, so that I can wake again. Uncollected poems. 57. Making a clean copy of matter, restoring to their proper place the things men have disarranged, because they didn't know what they were for. Straightening like a good housewife of reality, the curtains and the windows of sensation, and the doormats outside the doors of perception, sweeping the rooms of observation, and dusting off simple ideas. That is my life, line by line. Finny, You're rickrolling us. Number 58. What is my life worth? At the end, I don't know what end. One person says, I earned 300 contos. Another, I enjoyed 3,000 days of glory. Another, I was at ease with my conscience and that is enough. And they come and ask me what I have done. Will say, I looked at things. Nothing more. And that is why I have the universe here in my pocket. And if God asks me, and what did you see in those things? I will answer, only things. You yourself added nothing else. And God, who despite all is clever, will make me a new kind of saint. I really like this poem. Wow. It's beautiful. Hell of a line. What is my life worth? Sorry, my asthma's there. Number 59. Beyond the bend in the road, there might be a well, or possibly a castle, or perhaps only the continuation of the road. I don't know and I don't ask, as long as I walk just as far as that bend. I only look at the road, as far as that bend, because I can only see the road as far as that bend. There would be no point in looking any further at something I cannot see. Let us care solely about the place where we are. There's beauty enough in being here and not elsewhere. If there are other people beyond that bend in the road, let them worry about what lies beyond the bend in the road. For that's what the road is there for. If we ever have to go there, we'll know when we arrive. For now, we know only that we're not there. Here, there's only the road before the bend, and before that bend lies the road with no bend at all. Lou, thank you for that. 60. If I die young, without ever being able to publish a book, without seeing the face my verses make it print, I ask only that, if you choose to be vexed on my behalf, then don't be vexed. If that is what happened, that is what's right. Even if my poems never appear in print, they will still be beautiful, if they were beautiful. But they can't be beautiful and remain unpublished, because while roots may be hidden in the soil, the flowers flower in the open air and in plain sight. That is how it must be. Nothing can prevent it. To be beautiful is to display beauty. How could beauty be beautiful without displaying its beauty? If I die very young, hear this. I was only ever a child playing. I was a pagan, like the sun and the water, part of a universal religion that only men do not share. I was happy because I asked for nothing, nor did I try to find anything. Nor did I find that there was any more explanation than the word explanation having no meaning at all. I wanted only to be out in the sun or in the rain. In the sun when there was sun, and in the rain when it was raining, and never one when it was the other. to feel heat and cold and wind, and to go no further than that. I loved once, and believed I would be loved. But I wasn't loved. I wasn't loved for the only reasonable reason. Because I wasn't loved. I consoled myself by returning alone to the sun or the rain, and once again sitting at my door. The fields, after all, are not as green for those who are loved as they are for those who are not. To feel it is to be distracted. And I think I caught a glimpse of someone asking, yeah, I'm tapping the ones I like, and so far it's every single one. It's a really beautiful book. A mimir. Yes, soon. 61. When spring comes round again, I may no longer be in the world. I would like to think that the spring is a person, so that I could imagine she would weep, seeing she had lost her only friend. But the spring isn't even a thing. It's a manner of speaking. Not even the flowers come back, or the green leaves. There are new flowers, new green leaves. There are other sweet days. Nothing returns. Nothing is repeated. Because everything is real. "62. Yes, I read in Spanish. Some of Pablo Neruda's poetry I read. 62. If, when the spring comes, I am already dead, the flowers will flower in the same manner, and the trees will be no less green than last spring. Reality doesn't need me. I feel great joy to think that my death hasn't the slightest importance. If I knew that I would die tomorrow, and spring was due to arrive the day after tomorrow, I would die contented, because it was due to arrive the day after tomorrow. If that is its proper time, when would it come if not at that proper time? I like everything to be real and everything to be right, and I like to be that way even if I don't like it. That is why, if I were to die now, I would die contented, because everything is real and everything is right. People can pray in Latin over my coffin. If they wish, they can dance around it and sing. I have no preference for a time when I will have no preferences. Whatever happens, when it happens, will be what it is. Wow, what a beautiful ending to that poem. I do have a YouTube channel where I post 20 to 40 minute videos of me reading poetry, but more like a radio station. 63. The astonishing reality of things is my daily discovery. Each thing is what it is, and it's hard to explain to someone else how much joy this gives me, and how much joy that joy suffices me. To be complete, it is enough to exist. I've written quite a number of poems, and naturally, I'll write many more. Each of my poems say this, and each of my poems is different, because each thing that exists is a way of saying this. I sometimes sit looking at a stone, I don't sit there wondering if it could feel. I don't waste my time calling the stone my sister. But I like her because she is a stone. I like her because she feels nothing. I like her because she's entirely unrelated to me. At other times I hear the wind passing, and I believe it is worth being born simply to hear the wind passing. I don't know what others will think when I'm reading this, but I believe it must be good because I think it's effortlessly, and it never occurs to me that others can hear me thinking, because I think without thoughts, because I say it in the way my words say it. Someone once called me a materialist poet, and I was surprised, because I didn't imagine anyone could call me anything. I am not even a poet. I see. If what I write has any value, I am not the one who has it. That value is there, in my poetry. And all this is absolutely independent of my will. '64. If, after I die, someone should choose to write my biography, nothing could be simpler. There are only two dates, that of my birth and that of my death. Between one and the other, all the days are mine. I'm easy to define. I saw like a man condemned to see. I love things entirely, unsentimentally. I never had a wish I could not fulfill, because I never went blind. Even hearing was never more to me than an accompaniment to sing. I understood that things are real and an all different one from the other. I understood this with my eyes, never with my thoughts. To understand this with thoughts would be find them all the same. One day, I felt sleepy, just like any child. I closed my eyes and slept. Apart from that, I was nature's only poet. '65. I never know how anyone can find a sunset sad, unless it's because a sunset isn't a dawn. But if it's a sunset, how could it possibly be a dawn? '66. A day of rain is just as beautiful as a day of sun. Both exist, each as it is. There's only 3 chapters, or sections, I believe, maybe a 4th one soon. '67. When the grass covers my grave, let this be the sign that I've been entirely forgotten. Nature never remembers, which is why it's beautiful. And if someone feels the unhealthy need to interpret the green grass on my grave, may they say that I continue to be green and natural. The sticky notes are just, I'm tabbing the poems I like. Number 68. It's night. The night is very dark. In a house a long way off shines the light from a window. I see it, and I feel human from head to toe. It's odd that the whole life of the person who lives there and whom I don't know, draws me in simply because of that distant light. His life is doubtless real. He has a face, gestures, family, and profession. Now, though all that matters to me is the light in his window, despite it only being there because he lit that light, the light is the reality there before me, and I never go beyond immediately reality. Beyond immediate reality there is nothing. If, from where I stand, I see only that light, from my distant perspective, there is only that light. The man and his family are real on the other side of that window. I am on the other side, a long way away. The light goes out. What does it matter to me if the man continues to exist? It's just him continuing to exist. Oh yeah, it depends. It just depends on the book I'm reading or the recommendations. Excuse me. No, thank you, Bubblegum, for listening. Hi, Alicia. Aisha. 69. All theories, all poems, last longer than this flower. But the same could be said of the mist, which is damp and unpleasant, and larger than this flower. Size or duration have no importance whatsoever. They are simply size and duration. What matters is the thing that lasts and has size, if the true measure is reality. Being real is the only noble thing in this world. Okay. And I think after a 13-hour day, that'll be a good place to stop. Thank you everyone for letting me read poetry and, just for listening to me ramble. It's been a pleasure. I will try my best to go live tomorrow. I try to go live every other day, but it really just depends. If you want to hear more poetry being read, this is the YouTube page I hardly ever post on. I am working on episode number 5, but it's the Poet's Lighthouse. And yeah, it is 11 at night. I am from California, so I typically will try to go live from 6 to 8 p.m. One of those times, and then I just stay live for an hour and a half or so. But yeah, so, as always, thank you, everyone. It really does mean the world to me. As always, I shall return in the morning, if the morning shall have me. Good night.